Hi guys, it is Mr. Fed. Welcome back to the channel. I am back in the man cave with one of my favourite videos that I like doing, and that is a good old-fashioned alcohol taste test review. And today we are going old school. We are going back to the brain rattlers. We're going for Carlsberg Special Brew. Now, I haven't had a Carlsberg Special Brew in over 25 years. I remember the last Carlsberg Special Brew I had. It was in a pub called the Grosvenor in Felixstowe, a pub that we used to call, it was still called the Grotty actually, because that pub's still going. And back then it came in glass bottles, and I think Special Brew back then was about 9.5%. Sadly, even the mighty Special Brew has succumbed to drinkflation. A Special Brew now is about 7.5%. So that is still a little bit outside of my comfort zone. I mean, I certainly don't like my beers really to be stronger than 6.5. You can certainly get some really nice Polish lagers between the 6 and 6.5 mark. But then anything after 6.5, I find that gives you a little bit of a lager burn taste. Now, I bought this because it seems like you can't get a decent beer, or it's really difficult to get a beer that's in or around the 5.5% mark. You either have to go for an absolute ball buster like Special Brew, or you're getting like the weaker is only, I mean, like Foster's is only 3.5%. I think Amstel's like 3.8%. Madry, I think, and Stella's down to 4.4. So I thought I'd just go all out on a ball buster. It is Friday night after all. This is the first Special Brew I had in 25 years. So it's, as I said, the strength has shrunk by 2%. I don't know whether that's going to make a difference about whether I like it or not. But anyway, I think that's enough talking now. I think we just need to get straight into this Special Brew and see what it's all about. As I said, 25 years since I last had one. Mr. Fed is getting on a bit, so let's see if we can get a decent head on this Special Brew. I doubt it. It's probably going to be as flat as a pancake, but we're going to give it a good old glug, 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 glug. Okay, so we got a bit of a head on it, but to be honest, when you pour beers like that, those heads don't last very long. There's not a lot of activity in there. I have to admit, there's not a lot of bubbles. It doesn't look as fizzy or as carbonated as I like my beer to be. But that being said, what does a 7.5% beer taste like these days? Let's have a go. It's not too bad. It certainly doesn't have that lager burny aftertaste which I was expecting. Like I said, this is 2% weaker than it used to be. So it's come down from 9.5% to 7.5%. I think that drop in alcohol content has actually worked in its favour. I think this, to me, from what I remember my last Special Brew being, this seems like a much more pleasant experience in terms of drinking a beer, so let's have another quick swig on it. So there is definitely a higher alcohol content, that's a given. So the normal beers I drink are probably the Cruz Campo, which I think is about 4.8, and the Madry I think is around 4.8% as well. So you can feel the alcohol lingering around in your throat and in your chest. It does have a slight warmth to it, but it's not a really kind of horrible burny, horrible nasty warmth. It's not too bad. I mean, I wouldn't want to drink more than maybe two at the most. I definitely wouldn't want to drink more than two of these, that's for sure. But I'm not disliking it. Now, I know people are watching this maybe and thinking, Jesus Christ, Mike, this is what the channel has degenerated to. He's drinking hobo juice. He's drinking, silly beers. But for my first Special Brew in 25 years, I will say that it's not as bad as I thought it was going to be. So let's see if we can have a really decent swig on it. I mean, I've only taken baby sips so far. Let's have a big old gulp, shall we? And even after a nice big gulp like that, you know, no shivers, no afterburn, no like cringing. You know, sometimes when you have that horrible first drink, you know, you kind of like shudder a little bit, don't you? Get those beer shivers. But you know, it's not giving me anything like that. Not giving me anything like that. So I think it's kind of perhaps a warm-up beer, first beer on a Friday night, or maybe a quick beer before you go around a friend's house for dinner. Um, I think that's all right. And I did pay £2.65, £2.65 for a 1 can of Carlsberg Special Brew. I don't know what the going rate is. £2.65. I will say when I saw it in the shop, I thought 265 was perhaps a little bit excessive, but I don't really know. What do you think, guys? Is £2.65 a reasonable price for 1 can of Special Brew? I don't really know what the going rate is because I don't really drink it. So I do query what is a 4-pack of Special Brew in somewhere like Tesco's or Asda. I bought this around the corner shop in my local Morrison's Daily, and things always tend to be a little bit more expensive in the old tiny little Morrison's Daily corner shop. So what would I give Special Brew out of 10? I think this is a one and done drink. I don't think that you want to have a session on these. I don't think you want to drink more than one or two. For me, one and done, I will give it a 7.5 out of 10. So not the best beer in the world, certainly nowhere near as good as a Cruz Campo or some of those delicious Polish beers I've had. But equally surprised, it's not the worst. I think the drop in the alcohol content from 9.5 to 7.5 works in its favour. And it's not a terrible beer, and I will really enjoy finishing this off on a Friday night. So thanks for watching, guys. That's the end of the video. Pleasantly surprised by the old hobo juice here, old Special Brew. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.